Good morning. Nice to be here with you. Nice to have you gathering virtually to practice meditation and reflect on the Dharma and our lives and how we're living, how the practice is unfolding in our lives. So one of the things that we do at the Sunday Sangha when we practice in person together at Yoga on the Park Studio on Sunday mornings is that we go around and we even just say our names. So I'd like to invite you, if you'd like to, just to check in and say hi. Some of you are doing it. So hi, Stephanie and Geneviève, hi, and Oleg and Miriam, Louis, Coral, hi, and Twinkle. So really lovely to see names, Theo, Dominic, Marcus, hi. Yeah, really great to be with you. It's really, really touching to feel your presence and to feel that we are supporting each other in practicing together at this time. Marilyn, Cynthia from Fredericton. Yeah, I don't think Cynthia's ever actually come to the Sunday Sangha, but she's been joining us quite regularly. And Dominic, Ludmilla, hi, good Ludmilla. So, so I'm going to stop reading names. But hello, everyone, and welcome. And let's just take a moment before I begin to reflect a little bit on Dharma and practice. Let's just take a few breaths together to arrive fully here in this moment, present in the body. Perhaps closing your eyes if you'd like to do that. And just taking a few breaths and checking in to the body, checking in to the energy body. How is this body, mind, heart continuum process doing today, doing this morning, in this moment? What is happening? And welcoming it all. It's not what is happening to know as is there a problem or is everything okay? But it's just welcome. Welcome this whole being. Welcome the peace. Welcome the fluttery belly, perhaps, or the slightly contracted heart. Welcome it all. And isn't it beautiful, I find, just in saying these words, welcome, welcome, all of my being, that there's a certain relaxing, just relaxing into the moment, relaxing into being fully present. So we can do that. It's so simple to do that for ourselves, to do that in any moment. Just stopping. If we're standing up and washing the dishes, just take a moment, turn off the water if it's running, and just to stand and breathe and feel the body. Say, how are you? How is this being? And with a real note of kindness and interest. So it's bringing mindfulness in the moment to the whole being. So I'd like to talk this morning a little bit about how we can work the awakening factors in our lives. We often talk about the hindrances. There are 5 hindrances. And the hindrances are those different mental states, and they also are felt in the body, that are, they're what's arising when we're suffering. So sensual grasping after sense pleasures, or aversion, resistance, dislike, irritation, that whole spectrum. And then, ignorance, whether it comes as confusion or ideology or fixed views. So grasping, aversion, ignorance, or, often it's referred to as sloth and torpor, because in meditation, it's the mind getting dull. And then restlessness and doubt, those are the hindrances. And there's a lot of teaching on that, because especially when we're sitting and meditating, but also in our lives, they come up, and we notice them a lot when we're meditating, because the intention is to become more tranquil and more aware and awake, mindful. So we notice the presence of the hindrances, but it's also really important to be aware of the awakening factors. These are the factors that we're kind of working and developing in our lives. And there are many factors. There's so many different beautiful qualities that the Buddha taught about and that we're working on in our lives. So the awakening factors is one particular set, and I've been thinking about them in the past couple of weeks, because I'm going to be teaching an online retreat, and I'm going to be focusing on these factors. So mindfulness is the first of these awakening factors. So this little exercise that I described of arriving with awareness in this moment, and checking in and saying, how is this body? How is this mind? What's happening? What am I feeling? What am I sensing? Just the very basic door of feeling the body standing or sitting on the earth, and being aware of that brings us to the moment. So mindfulness it's called the gateway to the awakening factors. And then the second of the awakening factors is called investigation. And sometimes it's referred to as curiosity or interest. So investigation is so how, it's more like mindfulness. It could be the what am I feeling, what am I experiencing, and just arriving in that very basic way of feeling the body. And then investigation maybe is, I said, how are you? What's happening? And so how how am I and how is it manifesting? So, so maybe mindfulness tells me that the heart maybe is a little contracted, a little kind of tight. And investigation kind of lingers with interest to say, oh, what's really happening? What is going on? Sometimes people mistake investigation for analysis. And that's actually a misconception of what investigation is. So investigation is not a verbal analysis. It's just really checking out kind of the how is it manifesting? How is it felt? How is it changing? So investigation really brings us into connection with those insights that that we speak about in connection with insight practice, the insight into impermanence and the insight into dukkha or unsatisfactoriness and the insight into anatta or the non-self, conditionality of experience. So the heart, the mindfulness can bring us into a sense of connection with the heart is contracted, and then investigation lingers and looks deeply into what that is, what that's like, brings curiosity, and that curiosity has a real a sense of warmth, a sense of caring to it. So it's not a cold analysis, nor is it a conceptual analysis, but it's really, it might touch into the dukkha of the contracted heart. It might touch into how when I just bring my awareness to rest with the heart and let the heart have some space to be felt, that something begins to shift. And it's not actually a static condition. I'm not stuck anymore. It feels like, oh, something's moving, something's maybe releasing. So the investigation brings insight. Investigation is an occasion for insight. Anatta might be an insight, the insight into anatta, investigation, which invites or is the occasion for the insight into anatta to arise, could be recognizing that, the conditionality of this contracted heart. It's like, oh, I'm carrying this, in these uncertain times, in these times of isolation, in these times of perhaps frustration, that this is conditioning. This is a conditioning factor. It's not me or mine. It's simply what is manifesting in the body and through me, through this body, and so the conditionality is seen, and so insight can arise in this second awakening factor of investigation. So mindfulness, kind of just touching in, and investigation, and then the investigation arouses energy because we get interested. It's like we're not cutting ourselves off. We're not in denial. We're not shutting down. We're not distracting ourselves. Whether it's something that's difficult to be with, or something that is beautiful to be with, because investigation can also reveal calmness and and joy and other beautiful love, compassion. So investigation can shine a light on that as well, and it brings energy. So energy it's this engagement. Energy is this engagement in what's happening in our practice, and energy in the 7 awakening factors, the engagement gives rise to joy. So joy, sometimes called rapture, is we're beginning to kind of just really get fully online with our whole being, the whole body, the whole mind, our energy, and often we discover that places that are being held, places that are tight, places that feel contracted in the body, are opening up, are releasing, it's like, wow, feels like I'm not so stuck anymore, and that brings joy, and so that's part of what joy is about, and so it's a quality of feeling less turned in on ourselves, more connected, more alive, fully alive, and so joy is the 4th awakening factor. So after mindfulness, which as I said is the gatekeeper, these first 3 awakening factors are called the energizing factors, and you can see that they really engage us. There's investigation and energy and joy. It's kind of they wake us up. They're engaging, and then the next 2 factors are called the tranquilizing or the calming awakening factors, and these are tranquility. So first, the next one is tranquility, and so after the joy, which is a kind of an arousal, can feel like there's a kind of an emotional arousal, a waking up, a really enlivening quality to it, and then we begin to feel more calm, and part of that is because the joy is in a way quite fulfilling. We're always on this kind of looking this treadmill, this wheel of samsara that we're kind of spinning on, and we're looking to be happy and looking to feel content and looking to feel satisfied. And when we find joy that has a spiritual source, joy which is kind of like a wellspring from within our inner being that is enlivening, we stop, the mind becomes less restless, and we stop kind of looking around. The mind becomes less scattered and fragmented and settles. We begin to actually realize that we have within ourself what we need for happiness, what we need for well-being. And so this tranquility is a calming and a settling that happens. And then a further development of that tranquility is concentration, which is really a collectedness of heart and mind and being. It's not so much a concentration where, we're zeroing in on something very, very specific and excluding everything else. It's a collectedness of mind in which we really feel a kind of a unification of being. So that collectedness really brings us into a sense of wholeness, and is very deeply, deeply nourishing. And then the final step, which is called the threshold to nibbana, the threshold to awakening, is equanimity. And equanimity is this deep quality of acceptance and balance that we know. We have deeply seen into the nature of conditionality, of arising and passing away. We have deeply seen into the nature of non-self, that we know that we're not in control. We know that we are not a separate self, somehow independent and permanent. We get, it's a deep sense of connection, and at the same time, there is a deep, I just said connection. It's a deep equipoise, a deep balance, and at the same time, it's a heart connection. We're not feeling separate. So these energizing factors and tranquilizing factors are elements that we can bring into awareness, that we can call forth in our practice, and so we can notice in our meditation practice. We can notice in our sitting, which we're going to do in just a moment. Does the mind feel sluggish? So if there's, that means that there's not much energy. So if we notice that, then mindfulness is present, and then we can bring some investigation, like, oh, what is that feeling of sluggishness, that feeling of dullness? How does it feel in the body? And even just that simple act of exploring, investigating, how is that manifesting? That itself raises the energy. And that can bring a sense of real engagement and enlivening that is called joy, and a deep connection within our being. And so with that kind of arousing of engagement, then the mind begins to settle, and we can become more collected, and finds that equipoise, that balance of equanimity. So it's not, as we cultivate these qualities, the Buddha said we bring them to completion, but it's a work in progress, like everything. It's a practice. So we're noticing. We know we have these tools. We have this knowledge that we're cultivating of the different factors that are involved in our practice. We can remember them, call them to mind, and we can also notice if there are hindrances that are present, that are kind of disengaging us. So I just wanted to share that with you as a before we practice so that maybe it can be useful for you in your practice. And I'd like to invite you now to take a posture for meditation, to find a balanced and comfortable posture. You could be sitting on a chair, a bench, or a cushion. You could be lying down. So if you're lying down, you might just one way to keep yourself from falling asleep is to have one arm kind of the elbow resting on the floor, but the arm perpendicular to the floor. So it's raised. It's not tense because the elbow is resting on the floor. But if the arm begins to swing to the left or to the right, or just to fall, then that alerts you that you're falling asleep. So then you can arouse yourself. So but feel free to lie down if that's the best posture for you these days. So feel the body supported by the earth. And relax into that support. I invite you to bring an intention, a sense of commitment to your practice, to practice with intention to begin again, to bring energy, and to practice for the benefit of others as well. Like, our practice does benefit others. It does affect the quality of our relationships, the quality of how we engage in our lives. Feel the breath rising and passing away, rising and falling. Let your breath be a way of collecting your attention. So as you notice that the mind is wandering, let the breath be a way of collecting the attention, gathering it in to the body. Feel the whole body sitting. Feel the posture of the body. And feel the quality of energy in the body. And you might also notice sensations in the body, tingling, soreness. You might notice places where the body feels contracted. still letting the breath be in awareness, perhaps more peripherally, opening up a broader awareness to a sense of the body, the whole body, aware of the soft edges of the body as a living system, a system which is not hard-edged, but which is breathing through the whole surface, taking and receiving through the whole surface of the body, taking and releasing. Feeling the whole body alive, interconnected with the space around you. Perhaps letting the breath be more peripheral in your awareness, more in the background, and just a sense of this whole body, the aliveness of this body being more in the foreground. You may notice that some parts of the body may feel more, there may be more intensity of sensation. Perhaps in your hands, feeling tingling in the hands. So you may bring mindfulness to that sensation and investigation. Investigation may tell you if there's an unpleasant sensation, feeling tone around it, or a pleasant feeling tone around it. If there's any resistance or grasping around the sensation of tingling in the hands. You may notice that there's some tightness in the chest. Just giving an example. Might not be true for you, but just as an example. Or in the belly. So that's the mindfulness. You may bring a curiosity to that. What is that? What is that like? How does the tension feel? How does the contraction feel? How far does it extend? Is it connected to other places of contraction? And then are there places that feel more relaxed in the body? Or you might notice that there's a lot of restless energy in the body. And being mindful of that, you might bring in the awakening factor of tranquility, inviting the body to relax, bringing a quality of acceptance, a quality of kindness, which is akin to joy, can allow the tranquility to begin to develop and the restlessness to diminish. And that might deepen into a deeper concentration. So you don't need to use all the awakening factors in your practice, but just noticing as we are mindful, we can bring in other ways of practicing with what we're noticing. We'll move into silence now. let's dedicate the goodness of our practice, the blessings of our practice, and the goodness and blessings of our lives to serve the happiness, well-being, and liberation of all beings everywhere. So please, if anybody would like to share a question or a reflection, please feel welcome to do that. If you are writing, that's great. That's fine. I'll just take a minute to mention or to suggest that it might be a great idea, if you haven't already done it, to consider doing, if you have the capacity. I know some people have kids at home, and it's really difficult. But consider doing an online retreat, and even if you do have kids, there are different kinds of ways of engaging in an online retreat. It can be quite flexible. Sometimes some of them have a lot of open space. Where True North Insight, Bob L'Oréal, is offering an online retreat at the end of May. I meant to check the exact dates, but I think it's the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, but I could be wrong. If somebody has the exact dates, please put them in live chat. All the information is on the True North website, Bob L'Oréal website. It's a beautiful way that Pascal described the focus of the retreat. That we're really feeling the, I don't have his exact words, but I'm just what it touched in me, what I've also been feeling. We've really been feeling the uncertainty of life, the unpredictability, the out of controlness of life and of the world, and we often, with our schedule and with our, daily routine and all the things that we're doing, we can fool ourselves into thinking that, we have a predictable life. Okay, thank you, 16th to 17th. So it's sooner than I said. Thank you, Julie. We can fool ourselves into thinking that everything's under control, and then a pandemic comes along, or something else that surprises us, and so grounding ourselves in these beautiful factors that I talked about in the beginning, these awakening factors of mindfulness, of investigation, energy, joy, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity, the culmination of them all, can help us to learn to be with things as they are, with balance, with calmness, and even with joy. And so one of the things about doing an online retreat, we may feel. I'm very grateful for my home, and every day as I look out the window, I'm in my meditation room, and there's a lilac tree outside the window, and I'm seeing the buds, over the last few weeks, they've been swelling. Now they're green, and just another day or two of this warm weather, and they're going to be in full leaf, and then in a couple of weeks the flowers will start to show. So I'm very grateful for my home and for the life around me. But also we may feel that our homes to be confining because we're staying inside most of the time, or if we're lucky enough to have a front or a backyard, we can hang out there. So most of us anyway. Our doing a retreat at home can actually help us to realize that our home can be a sacred space. Our home can be a beautiful and a supportive refuge for us. And we might discover how we can make that even more so. And by maybe taking silence in the morning, by maybe not turning on the radio or checking or going online first thing in the morning, maybe stepping outside and looking at the tree that's in our front yard or across the street, and then sitting and meditating. So I think at this time when we're spending so much time in our homes doing an online retreat, whether you do that in an organized way, or you can even just do a self-retreat. But having the guidance is really nice, having some guidance. So that can be so, I think, grounding and really helping us to find that inner refuge, find that sense of refuge in our home, and also find, most importantly, that inner refuge within ourselves. So, yeah. So I haven't seen any question or comment, but I'll just say a few more names that I didn't get to say before, like saw Tyler there, and Nicola is in England. Oh. And Louise, hi Louise, from rural Ontario, and yeah. So and thank you, Dominic, to remind me to mention Donna. Yeah, it's there is this offering is done as a Donna offering from me to you, without a set cost, and there's a beautiful mutuality of Dana in which I trust that also my support, my livelihood, my some resources for my life can come from you, and I can receive a donation, whatever feels appropriate, what feels appropriate in terms of how you value this, and also appropriate for you in terms of what your resources are. So I'm very, very grateful, and it touches me very much when I go, I see on my email that I've received donations from people, and really strengthens my my trust, my heart, my joy. It is a joy to receive, and And I also am giving dana and donating in different ways in my life, as I'm sure many of you are as well. So, and that brings joy. It's an expression of our interconnectedness. So thank you. And just to mention that next week, I'm not sure. I will be offering a YouTube session at the regular time. It might not be as long because I'm going to be on the closing day of an online retreat, which is it's a closed group. It's a group that I've been guiding through an 8 or 19-month practice. So I'm not sure exactly. It will be at the same time, but it might be a bit shorter. So I'm going to have to kind of fit the morning schedule around it. So Ludmilla asked about the retreat, how long it will be. So please go on our website, Ludmilla, True North Insight website, and there's all kinds of information about it there. And also, I think that, one of the things about doing an online retreat is that there's a flexibility to it. So you can do, what makes sense for you and what works for you. So thank you so much. Sending my love and holding you in mind and heart during this week, and encouraging you and taking encouragement from you in my practice as well. So be well, my friends, and be with you next week.